War Eagle War Report family, I'm your host C-Dub, and today's show is brought to you by our friends at GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. For all restaurant owners, if you're looking to save energy but not quite sure how to do that, you need to go visit GWT2Energy.com. The weekend tailgate starts right now.
You are now listening to the unmistakable sound of the War Report. Weekend Tailgate. It's your boy, Ike Jones. Be Will. C-Dub. Mike G. Get ready. Sit on back as we bring you the War Report. Weekend Tailgate.
War Eagle, everyone. Happy Sunday. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in to the latest and greatest weekend tailgate. Of course, brought to you again by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. War Report family, what's going on, everyone? You already know what to do. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Drop a War Eagle in the comments. Some of you guys are doing that already. Thanks so much. And please be sure to share our content. Get the word out, guys, that we are out here dropping amazing content for you guys on your social media. Add us if you're tweeting. Use hashtag Get Your Weight Up, regardless if you're Facebook or Twitter. That helps us out a ton. Spread the word. Help people find us as you have found us. And we got some announcements coming up. Mike G, let the people know what we got, sir.
Hey, listen, become an insider. $5.99 a month. We'll get you there. We are excited about all the new content that we're going to be bringing you guys this fall. Our game day experience, for the record, betting with B Will, Monday film review. It is all going to be super live. You don't want to miss the game day experience. This is going to be a real good opportunity for us to kind of host a virtual tailgate. All get together, talk about what we're seeing, commiserate, celebrate. We're going to do all that with our insiders and supporters on game day. So you want to sign up and become a member. Now, also as a perk of becoming a member, we're giving away tickets to the Akron game. If you sign up today is the last day for this particular drawing. It won't be the last drawing we do. But everyone who signs up before the end of the day today will get 3 or 2, if you're a supporter, entries into the drawing for the Akron tickets. We will announce a winner on an upcoming cast to give you guys time to make plans if you're going to be able to make it down there. So become an insider. You can join from the front page of our YouTube channel. If you are on an iPhone, you can't do it from the YouTube app. You have to view YouTube from your Safari browser in desktop mode. If you have any trouble doing that, shout at me in the chat and I will walk you through it. We got Cappy Man through it on the last broadcast live. So we're happy about giving these tickets away. This is something that I just love giving back to subs. So thank you guys for your support. There's a small thank you. We're doing this for you. We're giving away a mug. This is a pretty cool mug. You can pour stuff in it and it will change colors. So let everybody know how much sunshine you pump by getting a War Report mug that changes colors. Hashtag Get Your Weight Up in the comments. Check that spelling. Hashtag check your spelling, because if it is not spelled correctly, our filter won't catch it. So hashtag Get Your Weight Up. You guys already know the deal. I'll let us know how many people we got
and
signed
I
into
actually
that.
started the thing this time, so there's that.
There's that. Yeah, I'm hoping that we can get. I'm still hoping one day we're going to be able to get 200 people entered into this thing. So hashtag Get Your Weight Up. You guys are used to dropping that in the comments already. Our merch store is live. If you don't win the mug, you can go buy one, or you can buy any of our Get Your Weight Up gear, our Watch the Film gear, or just our plain old War Report stuff. It is all super dope. I'm wearing a Watch the Film t-shirt today. Ike's got the hat on. Caesar's got the Get Your Weight Up shirt on. Brian brushed his teeth this morning. Listen, you want to go to a store and get this stuff. It's super hot. So we appreciate everybody. This is a great way to support our content. Speaking of Brian, tell us about the podcast, man.
Well, first off, my gear about to be killing y'all gear because I'm going to get mine specialized on other stuff. But anyway, we got the podcast, man. This week was a good week. Wednesday Night War Room. We're going to put that up every time we have a Wednesday Night Live. Last week was a light work week for me, so we got that up for you all on Friday afternoon. So you can go right now. If you happen to miss the Wednesday Live, you can catch the podcast version of it. We cut out all the advertising. We cut out all of the nonsense and the shouting out to the crowd, which we do appreciate having y'all here. But for a concentrated listening experience, we got it all, just the content right there, ready for you to listen to in podcast format. So go find that wherever you find your podcast and get us off these jobs. I know y'all want more content on the podcast. We know y'all want the weekend tailgate on the podcast. We want to give it to you. So we need you to spread the word. Tweet it out, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you're at, we are there. You pub it, we get more subscribers, we get more insiders, we get more views, we get enough money to live off the War Report, and you get more content coming at you all the time. So, podcast is there, spread the word, go find it.
Right. Thank you, B. Listen, I got to say, I'm really proud of our insider offerings. We have visited other channels to see what they're giving away for like $50. And it's literally like emojis and email subscriptions. Like it's nothing.
And we'll talk to you.
Yeah, and we'll say hi to you for $50 a month. So at $5.99, I think that we're giving away a very good value, especially with these watch the film sessions that will be coming. A lot of work is going to go into that so that we can see what we want to see as Auburn fans after the game is over. So many times I tune into ESPN when we win, and they only show that 1 2-yard run by Tank and literally nothing else. And then they put the final score up, and it is so frustrating. So being able to be the ones that deliver you guys that content in the aftermath of the game is something that we're really proud of.
Indeed. Well, guys, let's get into it. We have a lot to talk about. Sundays have been reserved for position group discussions leading up to the season. We will be discussing the offensive line and linebackers for this particular show, but we're going to address what happened yesterday. Auburn had its first scrimmage of fall camp.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot has come out of that. Brian Harsin actually addressed the media, and before he took questions, he alluded to the fact that they ran approximately 100 plays, with each team getting approximately 35 reps factored in, give or take, and mentioned that it was good on good. We saw some ones going against the ones, twos going against the twos, threes going against the threes, so on and so forth. And there's a lot to talk about here. And I want to start with some of the good. You would be pleased to know that there was a TD Moultrie sighting during this scrimmage. He's actually been having a decent camp. He's been playing the edge and been doing a good job. Go figure, right? Another thing that I'm want to point out is I was surprised at who was starting opposite of Smoke in this particular scrimmage. That was Zion Puckett, someone who we haven't mentioned a lot. We know that Badarius Knighton was brought in. There has been mention of Kaufman. Kaufman was actually playing the nickel in this scrimmage. So he also was in the special teams alongside Shivers and kick return, which I was pleased to see that because that meant Tank was not out there. But some of you guys might talk to me. What does this tell you, seeing names that we haven't really talked about? What does it say about the competition going into fall camp?
Well, you kind of took the word out of my mouth there. I think the overarching takeaway from this whole thing is that there was competition happening. I was getting the play-by-play as the scrimmage was going on, and the combination of players that they sent out there told me that the coaches were evaluating everybody who had a chance to make an impact this fall. This was your last chance to make a significant impact, because tonight they are dwindling down the depth chart. That's what he said. After tonight, that depth chart will be dwindled down to only the best of those people from yesterday's scrimmage. So I thought it was cool that some names that went out there at every position, man, running back, wide receiver especially.
Right.
They tried so many different combinations of players and set them out there with different quarterbacks and gave those guys a chance to make an impact and show what they had. It sounded like they really gave Robertson, the newcomer at wide receiver, a chance to show his experience and contribute. He made several catches. Malcolm got out there, had a decent day. Xavier Capers made some plays. Kobe Hudson didn't get a ton of targets out there. All reports were, but the freshman Tavares Dawson impressed with his athleticism. I wouldn't be surprised to see him clearly on the second team to start the season. But the reports again this summer where he was impressing coaches, and then he went out there and was just a gamer and showed it in the scrimmage. So make no mistake, this is not one of those things where it's like, hey, we have time. You have no time. After this Saturday, they have to start installing a game plan for week 1. You need to know who your players are to do that. So you've got essentially 5 more days to make an impression or change the coach's mind about something. But these are the impressions that start to stick when it comes to, evaluating players, because we had A-Day and then we had a summer, and now they've had 8 practices and a scrimmage. And they're going to have to start to work their way into their game week routine here. What he'll try to do is he'll try to simulate a game week routine, especially for a lot of the newcomers who've never been through it, to get them in a cadence of what game week should feel like and the lead up. But listen, if you hadn't gotten your weight up by now, it's too late. Strength and conditioning is over, right? You had to demonstrate a grasp of the playbook in this scrimmage. What did Harsin say about why 4-star players don't play? 4 and 5-star players don't play because they don't know what to do. And you can have all the talent in the world, but if I put you out there and you don't know what your assignment is, you're no good to the team. That's what he was evaluating. Who got it? Who understands what we're asking of them? So, we'll cover. I'll let you guys get your piece in because I know we'll talk about like specific positions and players later. But for me, I just thought it was nice to see that competition was alive and well at every single position. Nobody was safe in this scrimmage, and they may have sent certain players out there with the ones, but you either solidified your status as a 1 or reopened the competition at your position in this scrimmage. That's what happened on Saturday.
Before I get B and Ike's thoughts, shout out to Shalana G for becoming a new member. Appreciate you. Also had another new member here, Jersey. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you becoming part of War Report family.
Yeah, my man.
Talk to me, Ike. What are your thoughts about hearing some new names in some different positions? Like what? Because again, I was shocked to see Kaufman running out there playing the slot corner at that position. Like I wasn't sure how much he was going to compete or be playing in that position, especially this early in the process. What does that say about the fact that they are giving some of these guys an honest look and an honest opportunity to compete?
Yeah, I mean, it says the thing that Mike just said. The competition is open, and everybody is getting opportunity to show something before they make depth chart decisions. So, all right, cool. Let me see you get out there and do something. Show me something today, right? And this was the last real chance that anybody would have had an opportunity to do that. So, if you're out there messing up right now, you can't say the coaches overlooked you at this point.
Right.
So I don't think anybody has a complaint about I wasn't allowed to, right? Like, no, let's just get out there and play and we'll see what happens. And, again, I'm not out there watching these practices. This is all something somebody else is telling me and people are reporting. But by all accounts, they're throwing different combinations out there and different people are flashing at different points in time. all you can do is take advantage. We can go harken back to what we talked about with, we had some of these former Auburn wide receivers out there who played in the NFL, didn't get a lot of touches, but when the ball came your way, what did you make with that opportunity? So it's not necessarily about the volume. It's about when I get in there, I'm going to do what I need to do. And so I like seeing that. And I do like hearing that the practices have been competitive, right? We're not just out here running through some stuff just to try to see, all right, well, this is what the play is. Let's line up and run the play. No, I want to see you guys go out there and compete, offense and defense, right? Like defense is not taking the practice off to let the offense run plays. I'm going to try to disrupt every single thing that you're doing out here. I'm going to destroy every bit of confidence you think you have so that when it's an opportunity for game, at this point, I said this before from a perspective of, I feel bad for Akron coming into Jordan-Hare Stadium because of what the crowd is going to be. I actually feel bad for them now at the level to which our team is going to be prepared for them. Like if you're going against these people in practice that are going to be this ferocious, man, I don't know from a sheer talent standpoint, I don't know how Akron's going to be able to do anything if they're out here at practice competing like this. I just don't know. That's me. I don't claim to be an insider for Akron either. So maybe they're out there and they've got some stellar people. I don't know, but I just don't feel like they're going to run into a buzzsaw, man. So
shut out.
Yeah.
Shut out.
Shut out. Yeah.
If
our defense is as advertised,
shut out.
Right.
How do they score points, man? Like but see, the reason I'm still not going to go shut out is because it's not going to be the first team the entire game.
But the second team is looking dirty too, though. Shut out. Yeah. Right? Okay, so let me say this. Because if you've been watching us, then you know already, like I'm high on this defense. I think this has a chance to be one of the best Auburn defenses that we've seen since 2004. But like to your point, Ike, about the competition and about not necessarily being about the volume, but about taking advantage of your opportunity, that happened all the way down to kicker.
Yeah.
Right. Like they said, we all know Anders is going to be the guy. Right. And then when we did our position breakdown and we talked about the kicker position, I highlighted Evan McGuire. Now, the other kicker got more kicks than him, but he went out there and missed a couple. Evan got one kick, but he made his kick. And that's going to matter. Yeah. I have to believe that matters. And even though he had a limited opportunity, he went out there and all he can do is just go out there and make the most of the opportunities.
Right? I got one kick. I can't miss that one.
Can't miss it. So he didn't. The other dude missed a couple.
The coaches need to have confidence that even in limited opportunities, I can trust you to go in there and handle business. Right. Like it can't just be, well, if I got more plays than you. No, if it's only 3 plays, those 3 plays need to be stellar.
Stellar. Right. Now, he knows he's working from behind and he just went out there and handled his business. Now, in the next scrimmage, what I would hope to see is because he made his and the other guy missed half, that he gets an opportunity to show whether or not he can make a higher percentage of his kicks. What if he goes out? What if they give him 5 opportunities in the next scrimmage and he goes out and makes every single one of them?
Yeah.
Where does that put the guy that you had in front of him as the number 2 kicker? It should put him behind the 8 ball. That's what competition is supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's what evaluation.
Want to address this by Jonathan Harris. This is a chance to see who has been retaining the information that the coaches have thrown at them. Right. Who has been putting the work in off field as well. This is my best part of it. Who can handle the pressure? They were putting the offense was put in a pressure cooker yesterday.
Yeah,
because we're hearing a bunch of sacks. It looks like they threw a lot at the offense, which is, to your point, Ike, is a good thing because you want to see that in practice first before you see it in the game.
And Brian Harsin was clear that they're running base, right? Like they're not trying to do anything exotic to trick the defense or anything like that. And the defense is being exotic in the opposite direction because, but his thing right now from what I gather from the presser is that I just need them to kind of, if we can't operate at this level, then I don't even need to try to throw this additional stuff at you. I just need you to come out here and understand what your assignments are on a play-by-play basis. We can start opening it up a little bit more. Again, when we're talking about what I expect to see game 1 versus Akron, I don't expect to see much exotic stuff. They're probably going to be running a lot of base stuff. They're not going to really show their hand too much those first 1, maybe even 2 full games. It's just going to be run the base offense. If we can't go out there and beat them without being multiple and all this other stuff, then we don't have a prayer to do that against Penn State. We need to make sure that we can go out here and operate the base of this offense, and we'll open it up later on. So that's what I anticipate seeing game 1. But again, that's based off of 1 scrimmage and, the fall. And so we'll see how it plays for it.
We did a facts and few months back, and we're talking about what was what position group was the strength of the defense, right? And was it the DBs or was it the linebackers, right? And regardless of which one we chose, we knew that their effectiveness was going to be heavily dependent upon the defensive line. So talk to me about how encouraging it was to hear reports out of this scrimmage that the guys up front were wreaking havoc in this scrimmage. And you were hearing names we heard Begee's name being mentioned, which was encouraging considering his move to that position. Tony Fair, Kobe Wooden had 2 sacks. Those guys were monsters up front. Talk about how encouraging it is and how good that's going to be for the back half of our defense to know that we got some killers up front.
Not only do we have some killers up front, but one of them is the guy I chose to have the most sacks. That's right. I tapped Kobe Wooden as the all-star of the defensive line. So I'm looking good. All right. Yes. So aside from that, Tony Fair was the guy who we thought that's a big get. The first transfer, I think he was the first defensive transfer we got? I think he was after spring.
Talking on the line?
On the line.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you don't count Eku Leota, because he was.
That's right. He was. Sure. To be fair, he was. But we all thought, okay, Tony Fair, big guy in the middle. We were soft in the middle last year. So you hear that you got a guy that big. We're like, okay, yes, we needed that big guy. There were some concerns about his weight and whether or not he could trim it down to be active and be on the field for as long and as many snaps as we wanted him to be. JG even mentioned that he talked to him and told him he was going to have to lose some weight. And he said, I know I got some work to do, so I'll be ready. And I am so glad to hear that the quickness that he seemed to show on tape at UAB has translated. That I don't know how close he is to his ideal playing weight or even what the coaching staff asked him to get down to, but the effectiveness is there. And that's what we needed to see. Every other piece of the defensive line that stayed seems to be better. And if you're telling me you got a big gap plugger, big dude who can just, oh my goodness, man. Even if that's first team, we've got guys vying. The second team defense reports where that second team defense looked just as good. The second team D line. You're telling me you put 3-4 different guys down there and the result was the same? I am ecstatic because everything gets easier. We saw firsthand what happened in 2019. Our entire defense. I don't want to sell short that we have always had quality secondary. We've always had quality secondary play. I'm saying always. The last 4 years, we've had very good secondary play. Pretty much since Muschamp showed up. T-Rob did some good work back there for us. And since they brought in Carlton Davis and company, we've been solid in the secondary. So I don't want to take anything away from our secondary players. But the difference between us being decent on defense and great on defense was the fact that our defensive line in 2019 was unstoppable. It gets easier for the linebackers to clean up. It gets easier for the DBs to read and diagnose because they know that the quarterback has to react quickly because the quarterback is thinking about what's going to happen to him if these big monsters get to me. The entire offense has to shift and account for a monstrous defense, and everybody else's job behind that D-line gets easier. That is the best news. That actually has me thinking about how I'm going to bet Auburn's point total games in the fall. We can do this. Oh, buddy. Now those unders are going to be heavy. The over-under for the amount of turnovers we can get in games. That's going to be a big deal. Now our turnover differential is going to be better if we can get that much pressure. Our DBs are going to get more INTs. Our field position is going to be better. It affects everything. And it's got to be a welcome sight to know that even if our offense isn't clicking this early in camp, to see some definite positives from the defense gives me something to hang my hat on this early. So it's great to hear.
It means
like
one thing. It means one thing. Shut out. Shut out. I'm trying to tell you guys about these shutouts. This defense has a chance to do something really special this year. And if we can muster, if you missed our For the Record about third down defense, and you're a member, you guys who just signed up, please go back and look at our third down defense For the Record. We went, from a top 10 third down defense in 2019, to Brian's point about how good we were, to bottom 10 in the NCAA in 2020. So it would be hard pressed for us to do much worse than we did in 2020. This squad has really nowhere to go but up.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like I thought it was going to work in reverse this year, with as many changes as we were having on D-line. Having shut down corners was going to give this D-line some grace. And then having, two of the best tacklers in the country and in the conference at the second level to help plug gaps was also going to help them, with run stopping. But if they're going to play like a truly dominant defensive line, in addition to all the pieces we have everywhere else, shut out.
McLean is going to eat.
Yeah, we're going to be putting up
defense.
goose eggs on people on defense. I'm telling you, it's going to be really, really difficult. Now, offensively, as long as we don't put them behind the 8 ball constantly. Now, that doesn't always mean scoring. I mean, as long as we're not losing the field position battle consistently, giving offenses a short field on our defense. Mm-hmm. So when they do bend, because they will bend on some drives, it doesn't mean scoring for the other team.
Right.
We'll be really good. If they get some help from their brethren on the other side of the ball offensively, this is the one. Like, I know we say no sunshine pumping, but this is the one area of our team where I feel like, okay, you know what? Because everybody thinks I'm negative all the time. I will pump sunshine straight from the pump. I will go Exxon on y'all.
That's how that works, though. You got to pump it from the pump.
Right from the pump. Boom. I will pour it from a
inside the car. I don't even get out.
Yeah, I will pump it, pour it. I will, I'll shovel it. However you need your sunshine, I will give it to you here on defense. This is going to be special to watch. This is going to be one of those seasons where when we go on defense, I'm going to be glued to the TV.
Yeah, I just don't. So I'll throw a little dampener on this.
No, here we go.
I don't need another 2019 feeling like we have an all-time great defense and the offense is so putrid that it nullifies that.
Oh, I agree.
So that's going to piss me off. I don't want to go through another season where I feel like we should have won that game if our offense could just produce 10 first downs.
21 points.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You score 20 points and we win, and we're barely getting over 15 a game. Like, yeah, I can't. I don't want to sit through that again.
Yeah.
Listen. Let's do this. I'm excited about our secondary. They were some ball hawks out there. No shocker. I expect to see a lot of that as well. We talked a lot about the good, right? We talked about the good. There were actually some passes completed downfield. That did happen. But we do have to talk about some things that were concerning for the first scrimmage. One is that word out of the practice was, or out of the scrimmage was, there was another fumble. The ball was put on the ground again by our starting running back.
Yeah. So
we need to talk about that because that also happened in the spring game. Now, I know that these are things that can be corrected. So I'm not here to say it's time to panic. Not hitting the panic button, but these are things that we don't want to see as the season starts by people who we're expecting a lot of production from. What are your thoughts about that, B. Will?
I am less concerned about Tank fumbling in spring and in fall camp. I am more concerned if it carries into the season. And the reason is because it can be corrected. These games do not count. These practices do not count. They count as far as learning and improving, but you put that ball on the ground, there is something to some players knowing it's go time. It's the lights are on. Now it's time to go. There are people, and I'm not saying that Tank is definitely one of those people, but there is definitely a difference between this is the defense. Like, yeah, we see you, Mr. Best best running back in the NFL. I was thinking the letters RB, and I said RB.
Let's say Chris Brown was out there.
Nah, he wasn't. But there's something to the defense being spicy. If the defense is spicy enough, they're like, listen, we seeing you all over our timelines and on our social media. We got something for you when we line up. I love that. And that could definitely be a lot of what this is. And I'm not worried about it unless we start against Akron or Alabama State. If he puts the ball on the ground in those two games, then I'm worried. Because we don't have our defensive players on those rosters. The people who have been seeing him in camp and couldn't wait to put a hat on him because they heard about how big he was. They knew that Tank was a big deal. Listen, we all know how big a deal Tank is. So there may be some head hunting going on out there, and that's good for competition's sake. But these new guys, they should not be able to take you one-on-one in the open field. They should not be able to withstand you lowering your shoulder and making that contact to go through them. If he's fumbling the ball when it's game time, then I'm concerned. Right now, I'm not concerned at all.
I won't say I'm concerned about it, but I still don't like it. Like concerned and liking it. Like I will echo the words of the coach. If we're gonna compete for championships, everything we do matters. Everything. Like even if it's practice, even if it's a spring, I don't care. We don't fumble the ball on this football team. They will have to rip your arm off before the ball. Like just come on, man. Like protect the ball and make sure that how you're practicing is how you intend to play. So I don't like it. Again, I'm not going to go to the level of concern yet. But if our defense is headhunting Tank, when it gets into SEC play, that's exactly what they're going to be doing too. If I've heard that you've got issues with holding on to the ball, all right, let's see if you can withstand me throwing all of this and trying to rip the ball out, all that kind of stuff. I don't want to see any of that at any point in time. I want nothing but fear in the hearts of opposing defenses when they line up and they're like, "There's what can we do to stop this guy? Nothing."
Right.
He doesn't fumble. He doesn't go down on first contact. He sees the hole and he hits it with a good by everyone's account, he's running faster and harder than he was last year. Right. That's scary. Right. So if you played against him last year and you were like, man, this kid's really good. And then you're hearing he's actually faster and stronger than he was last year. That's doubly scary.
Yeah.
But then you hear, but you know what? He's been fumbling the ball a little bit. So maybe I don't have to tackle him. I just have to rip the ball out. Then I don't give him no hope whatsoever. I don't even want a glimmer of hope in your mind to make you feel like you can stop Tank.
Right. And because of our offense is going to be so heavily dependent upon the run, that needs to be airtight. Yeah, right. Because if you're going to build your offense upon the effectiveness of being able to run the football, you can't have those types of things happening. Right. So the focus has to be there. And I got confidence in Caddy. He'll get that cleaned up. He'll get that straightened up. And my hope is this is the last that we're hearing about it. Before we get in, because
wait, time out. First of all, anything that's happening 8 days into fall camp, I'm concerned about. The flat out, right? If it's still happening at this point, right, there's a chance that those things are going to carry over into gameplay. So, these practices are about creating habits. And to say, if it happens if you're worrying about it into you're already too late. And then trying to correct that while you're trying to, you have to move away from fundamentals and you got to start talking about game planning. If you're still working on getting your running backs to hold on to the ball, once the season starts, that's a concern. To me, that's a concern. Because once we get into SEC play, October is going to be brutal. That is going to be a brutal month of football. And for an offense that will be installing a new system, ball security should be the last thing we're talking about. Right. So I just want to put that out there. Like, I don't think it's, for a team that widely is believed to have the second hardest schedule in the whole country, the margin for error could be that one fumble in that one game.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so like I mean, so I'm concerned about it. I'm not concerned about whether he's going to have a decent season or not, but in terms of wins and losses, yeah, I think that's something that should concern me. You fumbled during A-Day, and then you fumbled in the first scrimmage, and then if we hear about a fumble in the second scrimmage, I'm concerned.
Well, here's the thing, and this is where I disagree with you. So 5 months ago, he fumbled. And the first time he actually goes full contact with somebody, he fumbled. They aren't practicing full contact.
Against the second team defense, by the way, in A-Day.
That's fine. We've said that we're here sitting here espousing the merits of the second team defense. So to me, that's not necessarily a knock because we've got some dogs on defense at all three levels, first and second team. So he fumbled. He should not be fumbling. No quality running back that we are counting on carrying so much of the workload should be fumbling. But 5 months to now, and the first time you get contact, hey, I've heard football players like to get hit, particularly NFL preseason. They need to get used to getting hit again. That's something that a lot of them like, yeah, it's good to get out there and get some contact again. You know, it's a little shaky at first, but now I'm back. It can be as simple as that. I'm not saying
not the first time he's getting contact. Yeah,
I'm not saying that
contact before the scrimmage. Yeah,
eight practices. They're not getting hit in practice.
They are getting hit in practice. Are you kidding? He's
like they are in the scrimmage. Are they full tackling in practice?
Yes, they are full tackling in practice. You line up in fall camp is brutal. You line up 1-on-1, and the running back takes hits. He's not no contact during practice in the lead up to a scrimmage. Can you imagine? You're saying that you think he gets hit twice before the season starts? No, those guys are going. I mean, the line, the linebackers and the running backs are all taking hits. Man, they're running right at it. Right. And as a matter of fact, that ball security drill is something where the D-line goes after the running backs and he's got to hold on to the ball. Right. That's why I'm concerned. This isn't the first time he's getting hit, man. He got hit a bunch of times in practice before this scrimmage. It makes me think how many times in practice we're not hearing about this, but it makes me think. Yeah, that's what I want. How many times in practice did he get hit and lose the ball?
So if it's not happening during practice, but it's happening during scrimmage, what's your takeaway from that?
If it's not happening during practice and it's happening during a scrimmage, either way, I'm worried. I mean,
my takeaway from it would be a focus thing, right? Like when I know the drill is about ball security, then I'm all about it. But then when it's in the game, I'm being a little bit more loose with it because I'm trying to do other things.
Either way you stack it, it's a concern, right? If he's fumbling during practice and then during the scrimmage, concern. If it's not during practice, but then when the lights are on, fumble, concern.
Wasn't the ground wet after that practice because they had to postpone it because of rain?
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Yeah, that could happen during a game too.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, even in weather conditions, you're more likely to run the ball anyway because you don't want to put it in the air.
Right.
So
all of this is good, and we should be practicing this, and he should be doing it. Never, but if it's going to happen, it needs to happen now so that it can be a focus to correct it. But it's a scrimmage. I can't muster myself to care about something. It's not even the last scrimmage. It's the first scrimmage.
I'm not pushing a panic alarm here, but to just say it doesn't matter. I'm not there either. It definitely matters.
It matters.
Like, yeah. When I say concern, I'm not saying, oh my God, what are we gonna do? He's gonna fumble the ball so much. I'm saying, listen, in a tight game, ball security is a concern, right? Like you know, and if we're leaning on the run heavily this year, based on reports of other stuff that happened during practice, right? I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, we're in a tight game. Our defense has kept us in it, right? And let's say we have we're trying to run the clock out, right? We're trying to hold the ball control, just a couple first downs, and we hand it to our number one, and he loses focus, despite how he played the rest of the game. You guys know how it is. That's the thing that gets replayed on ESPN. It doesn't matter if he ran for 200 yards. You fumbled away the game. Because of what Ike's talking about, lack of focus, that's what everybody remembers. That's what you will be remembered for.
I agree, but we're not talking about games. We're talking about scrimmage. A scrimmage.
I hear Alan.
There's a carryover.
So, listen, guys. We're going around in circles now. Listen, let's before we get to the halfway point, and we're almost there. I do want to address the interceptions that occurred. There were some interceptions, one of which was actually due to a miscommunication, which I'm willing to look past that, even though I know that's going to be addressed in film review. Those are things that I'm expecting the coaches to address, clean up. But there was one where it appears that Bo put pressed when he should not have pressed. I was hearing there was 3 interceptions from various sources, but it looks like there were times where Bo was actually pressing when he shouldn't have. And these are things that we have seen in the past few seasons with Bo, particularly, and I hate to keep going back to it, but the South Carolina game where he there were times during his first year on the road when he was at Florida where he was pressing, and it led to turnovers. So what are your thoughts, Mike G, about what we saw with or what we heard, because we didn't see it, but what we heard coming out of the scrimmage as it pertains to the turnovers?
Yeah, I got a play-by-play of position, like people who were going in about the player groupings, and so that we're clear about what this was. This was Bo and the presumed first team offense, because there were a lot of different combinations at wide receiver that they sent out there versus the first team defense. And under Harston, this is the first time, well, hell, since Gus didn't do it, this might be the first time he's ever played against first team defense, for all we know, in practice or scrimmage.
Hey, big difference.
Right?
Big difference.
So they sent him out there in A-Day versus the second team defense, and he looked okay. Right? There wasn't a ton of press. The offensive line still getting some things together. He went out this time against the first team defense, and there was a lot of the same as what I saw. Some good, some bad. Xavier Dampier posted something that was just way too sunshine pumpy for me. Based on what I got, I was just like, we've never questioned his athleticism. Right. But what was the most concerning report that came out of that scrimmage for me was about red zone offense. We got into the red zone, and we didn't get it in. Our quarterback didn't get the ball into the end zone on any of the red zone drives. That concerns me, because that red zone offense has been our biggest bugaboo over the last 4 or 5 years. If we don't score from the 30 or out, seemingly, it is so hard for Auburn. It was so hard for Auburn to score in our last offense. And solving that little puzzle primarily in this offense will be about decision-making by the quarterback. So the first interception was an out that got picked off by, I think it was Tennyson or Simpson.
Jalen Simpson.
Simpson picked it off, right? Bad throw, picked off. The second pick was Pritchett.
Yeah.
Right. And Capers stopped on his route, I believe. So miscommunication, right? I don't know who was right or wrong, whether it was receiver or quarterback. But miscommunications between a third-year quarterback and a second-year receiver are concerning to me. And for me, based on what we've seen, I know what people are going to say. I'm leaning quarterback, right? When it comes to that, about whose responsibility it is. Now,
really, Mike?
What we saw. I'm only a quarterback. I don't care what the hell y'all say. Listen, what we saw from the other quarterbacks, where I heard that TJ and Canyon had a lot of chemistry. Robertson did well. I mean, they threw a lot of different wide receiver combinations out there, right? And even Dede, was oddly enough, that was the most we heard about any quarterback. They were kind of tight-lipped about the presumed first two, but they were very loud in their praise for his athleticism, for his gamesmanship. I think it's the word that Harsin used. His gamesmanship, he balled. Now, you can argue he went against the second and the third team defense, but when you're a talented player, you should make the second and third team defense look silly. So as far as I'm concerned, he went out there and did what he was supposed to do. TJ Finley, I heard a lot about the touch that he put on the ball. He had a nice touch on the ball. Ball placement was good, and our second and thirds looked very comfortable in the pocket. Now, because we know who our presumed starter is, some of the the pressing that you're talking about, Caesar. The first one was a rollout. To stop me if you've heard this story before. It was a bailout to the right, and unnecessary, and then a bad decision and a bad throw that ended in a pick, which will certainly be a 2019 scenario. So what I thought about what I heard from that was competition is still open. I'll just be really interested to see in this next scrimmage if, based on performance, they presume second string quarterback a look against the first team defense. Because at the end of the day, I'm not sold that it's all him, because I do think this defense is really, really good. And if they're throwing things out there, they're confusing him, and they're making great plays on the ball. That's not what it sounded like, the way it got described. But why not just test it against your second string quarterback who's more comfortable in the pocket and seem to make better decisions from the pocket, and just see what's what. If they do the same thing to Finley, maybe our defense is just that good. But it was concerning to me that it sounded like the things they described were a lot of the same.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying. So I'm not making a judgment on them.
It's just what happened. Just quick reaction to what happened. Didn't miss you, TJ. Thank you so much, brother, for the super chat. We love Tank, but he shouldn't, all caps, be fumbling. I think we all can agree there. Yes. Talk to me. What were your thoughts about what you've heard about just the turnovers? We already talked about Tank, but with the interceptions that were thrown, we expect that to be addressed, cleaned up. But what are our thoughts about where we are in fall camp versus what we're hearing still about quarterback play and the interceptions?
Go ahead, B.
Well, one, we had a facts or no, where we asked, I don't know if it's a fan question, one of ours, how many turnovers would we have over or under for the season? And I said over, and specifically because it's a new offense, and if the quarterback and wide receiver, you have to read the defense. Both the quarterback and the wide receivers have to read the defense and see the same thing. And if they don't see the same thing, they're like, I thought you were going out. No, he's right there. I'm going in. Now, that's how interceptions happen. That can absolutely happen. And Mike, like you alluded to, that's an INT. That's actually encouraging for me, because now we need to figure out who was wrong reading what, and we need to be reading this the same way. I expect that to happen when we get into the season, because it's not just going to be our defense. And I'm not, okay, so let's put aside the quality of play from a player. I expect the defense to look better than the offense. Number one, because our defense is better stocked across the line. All three levels, they're better. Number two, they get to do stunts and switch to zone. If they get to confuse the offense, but the offense doesn't get to adjust to what they're doing, then they better look significantly worse than the defense, or we would be in serious trouble on the defense. So the thing that's concerning about this is that what one of the INTs was the same thing that Bo had always done to end up in those situations. Confusion, bail, bad decision, throw. That's the concerning part. The misread with the wide receiver, good. Get it worked out. We're in camp. Get it worked out. That thing right there, it's something about practice, man. We've seen clips of Bo throwing really well at QB camps, in fall camp. We've seen it. And it's like, oh man, he looks good. He was accurate on that pass. It is a completely different story when maybe before, when he was playing against the twos in practice in camps past, there wasn't that pressure there. That defense wasn't getting to him. But all of a sudden, now there's a guy breathing down your neck, and he's a lot taller, so he's literally probably hitting the back of his neck. And that guy can make the throws that in years past, those guys can't do what I do. So this is my job. And if I look a little shaky, it's okay, because this is still my job. But I'm not even going to look shaky, because my head coach at the time doesn't want us to look and feel bad about our performance in practice. So he saves our feelings and puts us against the twos, so we can get some rhythm and feel some confidence. Yeah, but that's not the game anymore, man. Now you got to perform. Now you might lose your job. So that pressure that previously he had only felt when real defenses were breathing onto him and about to take him to the ground, that's when he felt that pressure. He was scared of getting sacked and getting a negative play. I don't want to do that. I don't want to let my team down. Good. That's when he performed at his worst. Now we're recreating that feeling in practices and scrimmages, and that behavior is returning. We talked to Chris Todd when we did our chop it ups and building reports, and different people have said, and Chris confirmed, listen, sometimes is he going to bail and revert, or is he going to do what you taught him? Can it be undone? Chris Todd said the only way you fix that is you have a bunch of big guys running at you all the time, and then you eventually are going to have to get the picture, or you're going to sit. Except now sitting is actually an option. And that's going to come down to what the coach decides to do. That's who I'm looking to solve this situation more than the quarterback. Right. I still think Bo is going to get first crack at this thing, whether it's Akron or Alabama State or even Penn State, because I don't think the first two games he's going to be in quite the pressure cooker that he will be in game 3. However, I have to hope that Brian Harsin will not let our season tank trying to save the ego and the confidence of a player who does not give us our best chance to win. So I'm hoping it gets worked out. That's the best case. The best case is that, son, you see this right here? Let's look at this. You do that again, you're sitting. And then he doesn't do it again. That's the best case scenario for us. But if it doesn't work out like that, let's hope he has, what's the best word? I don't want to say the gall because he's the coach. So it doesn't take a bunch of, a dramatic decision made. You just have to make the decision. You do not give us our best chance to win. He does. You're going to see it because you didn't get the picture. Let's hope if it comes to that, Coach Harsin does that.
The best case scenario is that he just does that in my book, no matter what happens, right? That he actually will make the switch at any point, and it's not because the wheels are falling off the bus either. That's the best case scenario. All right. Hey, we're just getting by, but you not only do not give us the best chance to win, you actually put our prospects of winning in jeopardy. So we're going to go with the other guy and see what he's got.
Ike, you got any different thoughts?
Honestly, I think this is me listening to the press conference. Harsin was pleasantly surprised at what Demetrius Davis presented as a prospect. I think for the first time in his mind, he was like, I don't know. Y'all said we should redshirt this kid, but I don't know. Like, I think just go back. If you haven't listened to the press conference, this is why I think that the question wasn't even about Demetrius Davis. The reporter asked him about Demetrius Robertson, and Harsin's brain immediately went to Demetrius Davis and started talking about what he did during practice and the things that he liked. And you saw like a little smile kind of hint up underneath there as he started to describe this stuff. And then the reporter's like, yeah, thanks. But I was asking about wide receiver, Demetrius Robertson. Oh, yeah. Well, that's a free little something about Dede then. Let me go. I think for the first time, his mind was like, I don't know. This kid's actually pretty good. I might need to let him get a couple of shots out here, see what he can do. I thought that was super interesting. He, by all accounts, had the best practice. Better than TJ, better than Bo. He didn't show anything as far as negatives are concerned in practice. TJ, I heard, was a little flustered under pressure. Bo, of course, had the interceptions and bailing out and all that kind of stuff. So
I think we have enough of a scouting report on those two guys. We've seen what TJ Finley has done in that exact same stadium when he was wearing a different jersey, right? When the pressure is on him, he's not the most mobile guy. So when the pressure is on him, he's going to struggle. That's true of most pocket passers, traditional pocket passers. But it's encouraging to see. It's discouraging to see what's happening with Bo. But question, Ike, your gut feeling: are we going to see Demetrius Davis a little bit more in the second scrimmage?
I would assume so. He's clear. Like, if you had asked me this a couple of weeks ago, I'd say, they're redshirting him, right? He's clearly the number 3 right now, right? Because if Shankopotamus is here, cover your ears. Grant Lloyd barely got any touches during practice, right? So he has fallen from the clear number 2 to the clear like 4 or 5, right? So Dede has crept up as the number 3 right now. So will he get chances with the first team? I'm not sure first team, but he probably will get more second team reps. I think that they will likely, the question was asked about whether or not he's going to have a 2 quarterback system and going to be using. I think that makes more sense with TJ as you're going to compare and contrast people, because Bo is an athletic quarterback already. So why go with a second quarterback that possesses that athleticism again? So I likely will be TJ if they're going to be running, a 1-2 punch type of thing. But if they're running a 1-2 punch, the guy who gets usurped in that is the athletic one, in my opinion.
Right.
And that means Demetrius Davis would be stepping in for Bo in the 1-2 punch quarterback scenario. So.
And he did say, "I'm not going for a 2 quarterback system."
Yeah,
he said, "I've done it before, but that's not what.
That was not the intent.
He wants one guy. He wants his one guy who's doing the best at what they're asking him to do, and that's what he's shooting for. I'm like you, Ike. I think he would let these guys rotate to really figure out who's going to perform best in game situations.
Right.
But once he's got that guy, I think that's it.
He's staying with him.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's a 2 QB system that he's going to ride on into the Iron Bowl and the end of the season. This is kind of an experiment to find your guy. Go ahead, Mike.
Let me just go back and address something really quickly. Yes, Tank has fumbled in real game action last season. He had a fumble in the Alabama game. Wasn't a lost fumble. We recovered it. He actually had 2 other plays in other games where they ruled his knee down, but he fumbled the ball. So let's not pretend like this is the first time Tank Bisbee has ever lost control of a football in a real game.
That's true. And then we were sitting here thinking about it, trying to count. They weren't lost fumbles. He didn't lose a fumble last year, but he did. I do remember that, where his knee just was ruled down ahead of it. Yes, you know what? Yeah. Now I might be more concerned than before, because I thought no lost fumble, but he did. He did lose a couple balls. So yeah,
we tend to lose sight of those that we actually don't lose to the other team. But it's still a fumble nonetheless.
It's a fumble, yeah.
I said let's not pretend like this is some anomaly. Like, oh, he never fumbles, but then he did it 2 times in practice, and we're overreacting. Like,
anyway. I'm just gonna to put a bow on my thoughts about the quarterback position. I said at the top of the broadcast.
Intentional play on words, a bow on the
we're not gonna tank the season. Yeah, someone a tank reference.
Yeah, I don't want to bring the smoke here, but I really do believe that. I said at the top of the broadcast, I thought that Harsin promised us competition. He said we're going to compete. Nobody's job is safe. And there was a whole contingent of people that thought that Bo's experience kind of excluded him from that argument.
Oh, I'm actually off of that train now.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, and I've been back and forth, right? I thought that it took Dede a little bit more to catch up. I was wrong. I thought that a new system might actually give him a jump as a freshman, because everybody's relearning. And it took him the spring and the summer to catch up. And now he's in there embarrassing the second and third team defense. Mm-hmm. So that's a clear sign of a guy who has the talent to potentially be your number 1. I still don't think that it happens this season unless it's in case of disaster. Right. But I guess where I'm encouraged is it feels like they're giving everybody a look, and even at that position, to say, we've got 2 games. This 4-game stretch that we have to start the season was Harsin's best case scenario in year 1. You got 3 cupcakes, and then you got a tough road test to see what your team is made of. And if you lose it, nobody's really frying you for that, as long as you learn something from it and your team gets better, because you get to come back the next week with another cream puff right before SEC play. So, Akron, we'll see kind of how we execute. And I'm going to go back to something we said earlier. If our number 1, no matter who it is, can't be Akron with their arm, and especially the presumed number one, I'm already in worry mode. Then the clock starts ticking for me. If timings are off, if we're completing passes but they're behind receivers and our receivers are making circus catches, and if you can't execute against what was one of the only third down defenses worse than ours last year. Let's be clear. This was one of the worst defenses in the FBS in 2020. We should be able to go out there and beat them like a drum offensively, running our base offense with little to no resistance. That doesn't happen, and we look slow and sluggish, or it takes a whole quarter and a half for us to get going. All everybody remembers about LSU last year is that we beat them. What I remember was we did nothing offensively until almost the end of the second quarter of that game. And if they had figured out to put TJ on the bench and get Max Johnson in the game faster, that game could have looked drastically different. So we've kind of stayed away from talking about quarterback too much over the last few months since A-Day. And now,
because I promise you, everybody's going to swear that we have been bashing quarterback and talking about it every single
but we barely talked about it, since A-Day. And now it's coming back into focus because the season's about to start.
Right.
And that's going to be, figuring out who your quarterback is going to be is figuring out what your offensive identity is going to be. And that's the number one question we have as fans. What kind of offense? If I had one question for Harsin right now, it would be, tell us about what kind of offensive identity we're going to have in 2021.
Yeah.
What kind of football team is this going to be? Are we going to be truly multiple? Are we going to be balanced? How much will the ability or inability of the players that you decide to start dictate what type of offense you run? Or are you going to get the right guys in the game to do what you want to do?
Yeah.
Because what we've done in the past is, again, square peg in a round hole, trying to force feed what Gus wanted his offense to be instead of doing what it just should have been with the players that he had.
Yeah.
Now we've gone out and we've gotten better players and we've reinforced some positions, and we truly do have a quarterback competition. And regardless of who wins the starting job, this should be a good thing for us as a fan base to know that if our number one doesn't live up to expectations, there's another guy who can actually come in and do a serviceable job.
Yeah.
Maybe not beat the world and win the Heisman, but just make the plays that give us a chance to win, even if we have to lean on run game and defense.
This is going to be the essential question for me, right? And I know we got to move on. We got to get into our position group thing after this. But if the offensive line is what it is, the question is, what quarterback behind that offensive line gives our offense the best opportunity to do anything, right? And if people keep preaching to me, and y'all know I'm trying to be as balanced as I can with my now. If you keep preaching to me that the offensive line Bo Nix's issues are a symptom of a poor offensive line, and that offensive line is not going to get better, then you have to figure something else out. Because otherwise, you're just telling me we're going to be bad offensively. So if there's somebody else behind center that gives you a better opportunity, play that guy. Right. If it's different play calling, call different plays. But we can't continue to just be like, well, if the offensive line was better, the offensive line is what it is. Play around that, scheme around that, something. But we just cannot continue to see the same piss poor. I don't want to see that over and over again. I just don't. I don't want to see a whole other season of, the offensive line is trash, bro. And I need to see something else out of this offense this year.
You went there, but I was actually going to pull somebody's comment because they were saying, Bo was acting weird under pressure because of offensive line. Well, that's a great reason to let me see the other quarterbacks then, because the line's going to be the same no matter what. This is the line. This is the only offense. They're going to mix and match and figure it out. But our offensive line, if we don't have the pieces, if we don't have a true left tackle, then at best it's going to be decent. Okay, let's assume that.
To be clear, they're still trying to figure out the line. And I think that's something else we got to keep in mind with this scrimmage. It's not like they had their official five out there figured out. They're still mixing them. They've been mixing and matching the past several days,
Yeah,
which we
that's a
will talk
concern,
about
too.
when we talk about the position groups. So
Yeah,
they don't
gotta
know
go to the
what
line.
combination they got yet for the quarterback. Like, it's an open competition across the board, which is a positive, but at the same time, I'm eager to see them settle on guys who they feel more confident with by the next scrimmage. Before we get to the mid part, shout out Shaq McDaniel. We
Hey.
saw that you joined War Eagle. To you, sir. Thanks for becoming a member of the War Report family and the community. And you're also watching us the weekend tailgate, brought to us sponsored by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. Guys, if you're new to the channel, smash that like button.
Yeah.
Drop a War Eagle if you're Auburn family in the comments, or just drop your city if you're not Auburn family. You're just passing through. Please be sure to share this video using hashtag Get Your Weight Up. Mike G, hit us with a few announcements before we hit that drawing, sir.
Yeah, listen, become an insider. This is going to be an exciting season. We haven't officially announced it, but there may be a segment where I just have a camera on me breaking things during the game. Based on what happened in this scrimmage, there's a high likelihood that some things will get smashed. So become an insider, $5.99 a month. You guys will get, you got all kind of perks. I mean, we've got, for the record, we've got betting with B Will. We've got our Monday game day film review, and we've got our game day experience, as well as some other things that we're going to do for you guys, including ticket giveaways. So I just want to clarify, if you want to get into this contest, you have just about to the end of this broadcast to become an insider to get into this drawing. So we're going to announce a winner here in the next couple of shows, so either Wednesday or Sunday, and insiders get an automatic 3 entries into that. So sometime after today, we're going to draw and reach out to the winner and then announce that winner on our Wednesday or Sunday tailgate show. So become an insider. Tickets to the Akron game. This is the first game of the Brian Harsin era. And you get a chance to go see it live on the War Report. So if you've never been to an Auburn game, it will be an event. It looks like we're going to have full stadiums at this point. So we want everybody to have a chance at that. I didn't say it at the top. I missed this one, but we are partnered with the Lee County Humane Society to save puppies. So what you can do, I appreciate the super chats. 45 cents on every dollar of a super chat goes to YouTube. If you want to donate to us and have that 45 cents go to a good cause, this is the way to do it. You can visit our GoFundMe. It's in the About section of our YouTube channel. We have our goal for the month is to raise $500 towards that. We've got a ways to go. So for those of you, if you're feeling generous today, please head over to that GoFundMe and help us help them in their mission to save animals. We want to help other people find joy in their lives. The merch store is live. You can get your merch store gear. This link is in the About section of our YouTube channel as well. And our podcast, podcast.
Yeah, it's the podcast. That's what I told you guys about 40 minutes ago. We take the Wednesday Night War Room. We turn it into a nice, compact, straight to the point version of that content. And we post it on podcast apps, wherever you get your podcast at. It's there. So go subscribe, go rate and review it. Check it out. Listen to it while you're working out, while you're cutting the grass, while you're doing some household stuff. That's why we put it in podcast form for you guys. We want to be able to give you the podcast of this show, the weekend tailgate, of some of our weekday shows. But you know why we can't do that? We've got day jobs. We don't want to have day jobs. We want to be able to live off of the War Report so we can get you all this content constantly. So we need you to get us off these jobs. Hashtag get us off these jobs, or hashtag get us off these day jobs, so we can bring you more stuff without having to, miss an email or, back out of a meeting and lie about it. If anybody from work I don't do that.
Yeah.
But go check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast apps. We are there. Go check it out.
Hey, listen. Appreciate that, B. Listen, I'm excited about that podcast. It's kind of a different feel. Before we draw here, I just want to point out. So we let a Bammer in. He snuck in here.
Funny man, what's up, my
What
boy?
up, man?
Yeah, he snuck in and cursed at us.
Why you gotta curse at us when you
Yeah,
come?
bro.
Yeah, like all the 4-letter words you just want to give. Yeah.
Yikes. You want to spit on my mom too? Good God. Just come in here, throwing stuff.
I saw my man Sebastian Cole earlier in the comments too, man. Shout out to you.
Oh, go ahead too. That's what's up.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah. Right. So Let's go ahead and do this drawing. How many issues we got?
Let me see if y'all got enough for me to put it up on the screen. Now it's 97. We good. We can add that to the here.
All right. Let's see. All right. Can we get to 100? 3 more people.
Can we get 3 more people that get your weight up on this thing so we can go and do this drawing, man? We got 283 people. Come on. 3 more y'all drop to get your weight up. We're giving away this mug. Yeah.
Hey, listen, Funny Mane, I was just going to go. I know he's a Bammer, but he did a video that was it was interesting. He did a video the other day about Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC. And of all the prediction videos I've ever watched on YouTube, I've never seen one more wrong than this video he did.
I did not know where this was
going.
I
was curious where he was going with it too.
Yeah, but listen, he said it with confidence. He said it with his chest, so I appreciated it. But he was just like, listen, they ain't going to join the SEC. And then the next day, it was like, Texas and Oklahoma officially joined the SEC. I was like, boy, that aged like hot milk on a summer day. But we appreciate him coming up here and being part of our community.
Appreciate you, bro. Oh, y'all blazing it. It's 113 now. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and hit this button, see who is getting this War Report mug today. Let's do this.
Where we at?
Pocket watch. Wait, Pocket watch though. Pocket watch won before?
He's won before, I think.
He's won before.
Has Pocket Watch won before? Pocket Watch, have you won before?
I'm pretty sure Pocket Watch has won before.
Are you rigging this Pocket Watch? Do you have some kind of
he got a bot
situation?
He got a bot.
Pocket Watch, if you're here, I'm gonna, as a community, I'm gonna ask you to throw this one back for somebody else. Pocket Watch
is here.
Yeah. If you want it, we'll give it to you. But you have the chance right now to donate.
Ooh, I've never won anything in my life before.
Okay, all right, cool.
All right.
I remember Pocket Watch.
I thought we said Pocket Watch something before. But okay, all right, Pocket Watch. Listen, business at the War.
I've never won anything in my entire life.
That's how you spell it.
That's how you spell it.
Forever. That's a lie, liar.
That's how you spell it, Pocket Watch. Hey, play dumb, man. Plead the fifth.
Matt King says we got hackers in here.
Not me. I have never in my life ever.
This ain't Call of Duty. Listen, business at the War Report, Pocket Watch, business at the War Report. Man. Send us your mailing address so that we can get your mug out to you immediately. Business at the War Report.
If you haven't won Pocket Watch, you don't have to redo it because number one, I think I already closed it out. No, I didn't. I could redraw. But number two, if you haven't won, it's yours.
It's yours. I could have just sworn that he won one before.
I thought it looked familiar, but no.
We don't have no spreadsheet of the winners, Chase. Dang, what you think we some kind of reputable business with full-time jobs doing this or something?
On the side?
Dang, man, get out of here with that nonsense logic stuff. Nobody
Congrats to Pocket Watch, man. Appreciate you, man. Listen, let's the time we got, let's cram session in this position group breakdown of these two.
Too many.
Yeah. We'll see what we can do. We'll figure it out. But let's talk first with the O-line. Since that was a topic of conversation, we got to them. Coach Harsin says he was standing behind the quarterback. He critiqued them a little bit more closely. And he mentioned that there were some missed assignments. There was some miscommunication, as expected. But we're going to talk about the guys who we got along the O-line, who we like. We're going to talk about the different rotations that have occurred over the past week and who we think they ended up settling on. So let's start with this. Let's just get into it. So this is the first group of O linemen. This is in order by jersey number. So we have another slide that's going to show some other guys. So we're just going to talk about the guys we see here on this list. We see guys like Nick Brahms, who I expect to be the starting center. Tayshawn Manning, who's at left guard. He's been kind of rotating in and out. I think he's been rotating in and out with, I believe, Jalil Irvin. So that was kind of interesting because at the end of spring, Irvin was behind Brahms. Yeah. So this is part of what the coaching staff has been doing, trying to mix and match just to come up with a group that I guess if they're anticipating injuries, who can move over, who can play what. But these are the guys that we see listed here. Something that we mentioned off, and maybe some of the people in the comment section, maybe you've heard something, but a quiet person that's listed here that we haven't heard much from is Keandre Jones. I haven't heard much of him. The reports I've been hearing over the past few days, I've been looking at the different combinations of guys being rotated in and out. I have not seen Keandre Jones' name mentioned. I don't know if he's injured. I'm not quite sure, but I'm gonna let's start with Ike. Ike, when you look at this list, who stands out to you? Who are you looking? Who are you excited about? I mean, for me, I'm pretty sure Brodarius Ham is going to be a starter, is what it's looking like. Nick Brahms is going to be a starter. I'm curious about Tayshawn Manning, but who do you like?
Well, so I was high on. We talked about the mysterious absence of Keandre Jones, who I was high on. Not really sure what the situation is there. What I think for me is going to be interesting is seeing who we have as and this is going to sound like complete shade, but it's not intended to be. Corey Weber, calm down when I say this, who we have as the backup center, right? Like, I want to know who is the number 2 guy at the center position that's fighting for those snaps. By everyone's accounts, again, so far coming out of the fall or that first fall scrimmage, we're still having trouble picking up what blitzes are coming at us. A lot of that responsibility on that is going to fall on 2 people, the quarterback and the center. The quarterback's going to call out the protection. The center's going to figure out which way we need to be shifting this and that, figuring out who the mic is so we know where we're lining up and adjusting off of that stuff. And so I'm interested to see where that falls. It had been Jaleel Irvin, right? Like, of these people, right. Jaleel Irvin was projected to be the backup guy. And I don't know if that's still going to be the case, if he's still the number 2 there now that he's shifted out and he's playing a little bit more number 1 at a guard position, right? So I don't know. I don't know if that just means that he'll shift over to center and they'll pull somebody else in at guard. Cool. But, we'll see how that goes. But I think those are the interesting things that I'm looking forward to seeing from that.
Any thoughts based on this first slide? And I think too, Ike, I could be wrong, but Tate Johnson was listed one day behind Nick Brahms. I don't know if that's where he'll ultimately end up, but
I'm going to be very interested to see this. From the presser, Harsin said that they're going to get down to their first, second string lists coming out right around Wednesday of next week or this week. I'm going to be super interested to seeing what that looks like.
Based on this first slide, Mike G, what are your thoughts on the guys we have listed here?
Listen, my eyes are on left tackle, man. My eyes are on the guy protecting the quarterback's blind side, and the miscommunications that we're talking about that have happened. It's hard to single out any one player. I mean, I think we detailed in one of our Chop It Ups some of the struggles that Nick Brahms had at times last year, but it looks like he's kind of cemented in there. I'm looking at Jaleel Irvin as possibly somebody to step in and make a difference. But you're right. Like, the non-mention of Keandre Jones was surprising to me. So I want to get to the second scrimmage here on this offensive line because of the merry-go-round that they admittedly were playing to find out who's what, right? We heard about their struggles, but we didn't hear who made headway in terms of any of this. If we did, somebody correct me, but I didn't hear anything about any specific offensive lineman. I mean, they all kind of just got chastised as a group for things that they didn't do right. So assuming that they're dwindling down the depth chart tonight, as they indicated, I'm going to be looking at that to see what the coaches thought first, because we kind of know their thoughts at a lot of other positions. But here, we know it's an area of concern. We just don't know, who's winning, really. I mean, there's a couple guys we can assume are going to start, but they are trying to figure out some combination of the players listed here that will work. in terms of what they're trying to do. So, are some of these guys better at run blocking than they are at pass pro? Are we going to be able to have people step up, from a backup sense into their natural position? Or are we going to be, again, shifting everybody around every time there's an injury or somebody goes down?
Right.
I'm really interested. I don't have a ton of thoughts on any one of these guys. I don't think it would be fair based on what we heard, which was nothing. Right? I didn't hear it. They said, there were missed assignments. They didn't say who.
They won't.
Yeah. They didn't say what. And we all know O-line was a concern. So I want to see what the depth chart looks like tonight if they release it, and then going into that second scrimmage, I'll have more thoughts on this group.
Well, let me move on, because a few of you guys are hopping on late. You're asking, where's such and such? Where's such and such? Guys, this is slide 1. Say it with me together. Slide 1. Here goes slide 2 with the rest of the guys. Apparently, we got a lot of O linemen in the mix on this roster. So this is the second slide. Now, here, the reason why I think this is a good place here is what I've seen. I mentioned this on the Wednesday night War Room, is I haven't seen too many people rotating with Austin Troxell. Well, since then, after doing more research, Alec Jackson, who you see listed there, who's a senior, he's been getting some time during this fall camp at left tackle. Down below, number 77, Killian Zerier, I think I'm saying it right. He's also been getting some look at left tackle. So they're trying to look for a combination of guys to play that position. And you see Brandon Council listed. By all accounts, it looks like Brandon Council will be starting on this offensive line. Is what I'm gathering.
I meant to mention this earlier. So Brandon Council was injured, been getting time in practice. We also talked about Romello Height that was injured on the defensive side. Apparently he's back and healthy as well. But somebody mentioned in the comments that Keandre Jones apparently is banked up right now. So that's why he has been.
Well, there you go. So. There you go. But yes, Council is at right guard. He's been getting some look at right tackle. So some combination of Council and Ham on the right side, out there guard or right tackle, is what we can expect to see going into the season, unless something out of the blue happens. We see guys like Colby Smith. We've been hearing some positive things. Garner Langlow, I'm not expecting much out of them this year. They're probably just going to get bigger and stronger and more familiar with what Will Friend is asking them to do. But this is our list of O linemen. So, I'm curious to see, to Mike's point, what the starting 5 looks like, or the 5 that the coaching staff feels confident in after the second scrimmage. It's anyone's guess, because they've been rotating guys just almost every day. So it's hard to know what kind of impressions these guys are making on the coaching staff, as well as who they feel confident with going into game 1. So any other thoughts about the O-line group, guys? Any, based off of the scrimmage, the communications, the pass pro, what are some thoughts? I was encouraged to hear that they're still doing good in run blocking.
Yeah, I think
that's
this
important.
is all symptomatic of how far this offensive line had to go, or was behind the 8 ball, and actually learning how to play this position prior to this season. We knew that there were things that they needed to work on. There's just a lot that needs to get cleaned up, and we've got to figure out how to just do the necessary stuff, picking up blitzes, understanding your assignments in pass pro. And so they need to be able to do that, think on the fly, and communicate as a unit. Hopefully, as we start to cement some groups, they'll get some more, they'll be able to gel a little bit better. They have enough game experience, right? So it shouldn't just be like this overwhelming feeling of, I don't know what to do in a game speed type of thing, but they do need to be able to trust one another and understand what their assignments are on a play-by-play basis. So just looking to see how they gel as time goes along, once we start cementing them into a 5-man group that's going to be playing next to one another for foreseeably the remainder of the season if no one's injured.
Yeah. Please play better.
Yes, that summation.
That's a simple request.
Yeah, play better. Please block. Don't miss blocks. Help our quarterbacks out, which will in turn help our receivers out. Just
make the right reads, pre-snap reads, understand what you're seeing of the defense. Again, we did a film study when they were on the road against Georgia, and there were some key missed assignments in the Georgia defense. We just made them look like world beaters. They're not bad defense, but we couldn't do much of anything because before we even snapped the ball, we weren't even prepared to make a play. So hoping that changes in this season is going to go a long way towards these guys making a stellar improvement. Let's talk about the next position group. Let's flip to the other side of the ball, and let's talk a group that has done well over the past few years, has some studs on that side of the ball. Let's talk about linebackers. And again, this is not listed in any type of starting position. It's numerically based from 0 to 57. So we're just going to go down the list. We see the two top guys, Owen Pappoe, Zakoby McClain. Those are the two guys that we've been talking about all offseason who we are expected to contribute. But some guys who I have been happy to hear that have been doing well. Chandler Wooten, who's a senior who opted out last year, has been having, by all accounts, a great camp. I haven't heard a lot from Steiner. I've been hearing things about Cam Riley. I know people are big on Joko Willis, but I'm gonna talk to you, B. Will. Who are you outside of the obvious two? Because we've been doing facts and all about Zakoby McClain, Owen Pappoe, but outside of these two, is there any other linebacker you're expecting, perhaps in the two deep, who you're expecting to actually add some depth and actually contribute some?
So I've heard three guys' names mentioned that I'm hoping to see on the field, and that is Chandler Wooten, Wesley Steiner, Cam Riley. And that is from when they talked to assistant coaches at one point in the spring, talking about those guys. I think we talked to JG about Wesley Steiner and how much of a brain he is, how smart of a player he is. And so I'm eager, along with the strength and conditioning program, maybe filling in some gaps here, to see these guys on the field, man. They really, Zakoby McClain being the leading tackler in the SEC, or was he the leading tackler in the nation? I always confuse that. Was it
who's that?
The nation.
The nation. So that was not a good thing because our D-line left so much food for him to eat up. Fortunately, he could eat, and that was a good thing for us, and it showed us what he could do. But I am hoping that our linebackers don't have to make every tackle, that our D-line is getting a lot of that. They're getting sacks, that our linebacking core is getting more sacks because the D-line has the O-line, the other team's O-line in shambles. And I'm hoping we get to see these guys, not just Zakoby, not just Pappoe, everybody else. I want to see some rotation like we used to see on the D-line. I want to see some rotation like we have seen in the previous years in the secondary. I want to see other players get a chance to get on the field and not have to keep Zakoby and Pappoe and somebody else, or it was Britt last year, but on the field, because if we don't have those guys out there, people are gonna be going to the house on us. Our D-line should provide some protection and some insulation for us to have a reason to see what other guys can do. And maybe some guys are going to be better pass rushers than tacklers from the outside position or from the inside position. Listen, we've got mad scientists at defensive coordinator and at every level of the defense. Honestly, I want to see those guys. I want to see what a big brain and a prepared body looks like with Wesley Steiner. I want to see Wooten do well after his year off. I want to see those guys produce this year. I'm hoping we get to see that.
Talk to me, Mike G.
Yeah, well, outside of the leading tackler in the nation that's returning and Zakoby McClain, we did do a for the record on this. These guys were monsters. Pappoe and McClain were tackling. Behind them, I'm looking at Wesley Steiner, Cam Riley. We saw some glimpses of what these kids could do to just kind of step up and spell these guys a little bit. There's a blessing and a curse to having the leading tackler in the nation. Number one, he led the nation in tackles because he didn't miss tackles. He was the number one tackler for that reason, not just in total amount of tackles, but wherever he got a chance to tackle, he made it. What I'm hoping to see this year is that he is not leading the nation in tackles, but is still leading the nation in percentage of tackles made versus tackles attempted. Yep. And then when he gets a chance to be spelled, we see some of these young guys come in and there's no drop off. Mm-hmm. So knowing your assignment is going to be key here at the linebacker position to seeing who gets in behind Papo and McLean. But I'm looking for some of the guys who we've kind of already seen glimpses of, Riley, Steiner, Wooten, to be the guys to step in here and keep that flow going. So that once I think Zacoby's a senior, right? Zacoby was right here. Zacoby's a senior. Owen, who knows, depending on the type of season we have, and he may or may not come back for a senior year. We've got some younger guys here who hopefully, Wooten's a senior, but Steiner, right, and Riley have some time in front of them. Let's see what these guys have, man. Once upon a time we were linebacker U and good linebackers, solid linebackers, where it was just the normal thing for us to just put out good linebackers. They were good in run blocking and they were good in coverage. Now I'm thinking about like the Darren Bateses of the world, like those type of linebackers that could just drop back and make plays. Hopefully these guys here, I don't have a ton to say about these guys. I'm going to wait to see the second scrimmage to see how things play out and get an idea. But, after Akron, we should be able to get a good evaluation of what we have on defense because for the same reasons that Ike doesn't think that we're going to shut them out, if we're as solid at the two deep as I think that we will be, I think this could be a reason why we do shut a couple teams out early in the season. How big is the drop off between 0 and 9 to 32 and 35 and 31? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm going to be waiting to see. Do these guys know in this Derek Mason defense what their assignments are and where to be and fly around the ball? And do they make or miss tackles? Right? The way that the guys in front of them don't ever miss tackles, right? So it's wait and see on a lot of this on defense. I think at the one deep, we are as good as anybody in the country. At the two deep, we've got talent, but it's going to be about who knows what to do when they're called upon. So again, wait and see here. But I'm looking at Wooten and Steiner and Riley, maybe even a little bit of Joko Willis. We'll see. We'll see what combination they throw out there.
Yeah, I like Joko Willis. I think so. The chat's buzzing about the hit that I don't know if you guys saw this highlight of Tisdale meeting one of the running backs in a short yardage situation. He's apparently a thumper. He's a bigger guy. The thing that with Joko Willis, he's kind of undersized. A redshirt freshman. He's got some time to put a little more weight on, but. Right. Just playing in the middle of these defenses, man, like we were talking about Zacoby McLean being small in the middle. You see the difference in size between Joko Willis and Zacoby McLean even. But I think the interesting thing is that I do feel confident that if somebody like Wesley Steiner had to come in and play significant minutes in the middle, he can come in and he can do that serviceably. I don't have any problem with feeling as if conversely, like, so last year, right, our guy in the middle goes down and we're now scrambling to figure out a combination of linebackers. I don't feel like we're in quite that same position this year. I think we've got enough experienced guys, enough guys that really know what's going on out there that allows the middle of our defense and linebacker to still be stout regardless of who's there. And again, that's not taking anything away from the performance of the linebackers we had last year. The one thing that I have yet to really see tested, and I do wonder about a little bit, is linebackers in pass coverage, because that's been an issue for us a lot at the linebacker position. Isolate the linebacker and get him out there against a running back or a tight end, he's toast. Are we going to be able to cure that issue? Zacoby McLean wasn't asked to get in pass coverage a lot when he was just okay. Owen Papo, as fast as he is, he still doesn't have like super fluid hips. So he's not like the greatest in pass coverage either. I think for us, it's really going to be about recognition and trying to figure out how to be there before the play evolves into that space. But hopefully, again, we're going to have our linebackers in position to get downhill really fast and not have to worry too much about that. We'll have the quarterback scrambling and in a world of hurt before he's and have an opportunity to get to a check down or anything like that. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, I think that covers a lot of what we got today. Any of you guys got anything else you want to add? Mike G, you got something?
Oh, man, listen, competition. This scrimmage, for those who were feeding me the play-by-plays, I appreciate the intel. It was encouraging just to hear that if you come to Auburn, you're going to get a chance to show that you can be the guy. And some of those chances may be limited, but I feel like in the past, a lot of guys didn't really get a chance to show that they could be a guy. And there were a lot of other things at play other than who is just the best person to play. And so, call it what you favoritism, nepotism, any kind of other ism that was keeping us from putting the best guy on the field, hopefully is gone. And this new coach gets it. That's it. Not for or against any player. I'm just for the guys who are going to go out there and play and do what the coaches ask at a high level. So this scrimmage, I thought, was a good step in that direction. And when we're covering these position groups, I'm just looking at that list and just thinking, man, we might actually get a chance to see most of the guys on this list have an honest chance to compete for that starting spot.
Mm-hmm.
And competition to the point where even if we're wrong about who we think the next guy might be, there might be some pleasant surprises in here. Man, we didn't hear this guy's name all camp, but he showed up.
Yeah. And
now we're seeing that, we're taking advantage. We're just maximizing the talent that we have on our roster. And the days of letting guys with extreme talent like Malik Willis go are over. If a guy like that is transferring out of our program, it's truly because we're just stacked with so much talent that you can't miss with the guy that you pick.
Right.
Because kids want to play now. So that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that this was a step in the right direction. I'm looking forward to the next scrimmage. It's coming to. It'll be on us in 5 days, right?
Yeah. We'll get to talk about it one more time.
Yeah,
for the Wednesday night.
Yeah, then we'll be back here talking about, okay, here's what we saw in the first scrimmage. Here's how the depth chart looked after that. And then here's what we saw in the second scrimmage. And maybe some patterns will evolve that will tell us how this coaching staff is going to handle, with the portal and all the things that are going on now, being able to keep kids who maybe just missed it encouraged and involved is going to be a thing as well too. So, there was some speculation. I was talking to my man, Main Easy, about, whether DD would transfer or not. And by all accounts, he's here to compete until such a time that someone tells him there's no way he's going to play. I love that. That means that, he did not get discouraged by what happened this spring and is fully engaged and involved. And then in the chance that he got to show why they should reconsider, he went out there and gave them something to think about.
Yeah.
Everybody else should be trying to do the same thing. If you didn't think I was guy in the spring, by fall, you're going to reconsider your stance. And if all your players get that mindset, watch, that's how dynasties are built. That's how you build a dynasty. Our head coach has to emanate that, man. He's got to be the first example of that. And then hopefully, by the end of the season, whether we're 7-5 or we're 8-4 or 9-3, we're looking back at it and we can look at it and there can be hope and we can say, yes, we are building something. Right. Next year could truly be special and not one of these one-off miracle years.
Right.
That Gus accustomed of us to.
Right.
Something consistent, something tangible and feasible and consistent that we can look to every year that says we're headed the right direction. And no matter who graduates, no matter which coach takes another job somewhere, Brian Harsin is our head coach, so we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what this has got to turn into. The head guy is going to be here. And if he thinks about leaving, here's a guap. Please stay.
I thought you were gonna say that was a different solution.
Here's
money.
That's what it comes down to all the time, right? Like, hey, here's a guap. Stay, please, and you can win championships here. Because when you can win championships here, what's the point of going someplace else? If you got the money and you can win,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's a fact.
we got to be that program. I hope that's what he's building. I hope what these scrimmages are all little steps into that direction. Where this guy doesn't even think about leaving. Because I'm building something. I'm building something special here. And then we are doing a service to the young men that choose Auburn.
Right.
Truly. It was a good decision to choose Auburn.
Right.
Now there were some salty Sarahs out there after
Salty Sarahs.
right after Harsin came in. Right, I was looking for a male name, but I just went with Sarah. All the Sarahs I know are annoying, but like there were some salty people out there that were just not like, hey, they felt like they got done wrong or they got overlooked and they left and there was, I heard some stories coming out about how kids were being traded, and it's just like, the environment that existed before that fostered this entitlement that some players felt is gone. And I think a lot of guys had trouble adjusting to that.
Mm-hmm.
And hard work is now it, and take advantage of the opportunities that you have at every position. Life isn't fair. Some guys are going to have more chances than you. Just take advantage of your chance.
Yeah.
And let the cards fall where they may. And if we can build that kind of program, it's not about winning a championship every year, but it is about feeling like we have a chance every year.
But hopefully it will be about that soon. We just got to get to that space. It's not about that today.
Not about that today. Or again, by the end by week 5, if we're feeling that way, regardless of what happens at Penn State.
Right.
If by week 5 we're looking at it and thinking, you know what, we have a chance to beat LSU for the first time in their house in 20 years. Let's go. And whether we win it or not, that's not what I'll be focused on. How we look doing it.
Right.
Is what I'm going to be focused on. Big difference. Yeah. So, 7-5, 9-3, we all riding this War Eagle all day, every day. I'm just saying, let's go. Let's pick a quarterback. Let's get some running backs. Let's hold on to the ball. Let's turn the ball over on defense. And I've said it a million times. I'm going to tell you, watch out for this Auburn defense this year. I think these guys can go out and truly do something special this year. And Derek Mason's first year, right? The bad part about that is that Derek Mason might get his next job in 12 months. This defense might
they
look
play
so
too
good.
And people
Yeah, right, yeah.
NFL come calling.
Yeah. And again, just drop him a guap. Let's see if we can keep him another 2 years. Right.
You ain't keeping him.
Right. And then we'll see.
Hashtag drop a guap.
Drop a guap. So that's it, man. I hope we have something to look forward to.
We got like 50 hashtags of like randomness.
Yeah.
Listen, man, talk to him, Mike G. Before we get out of here.
Hey,
man.
listen, man. This is it. This is your last chance for coming insider. $5.99 a month to get some Akron tickets. 2 tickets to the Akron game. I promise this will not be the last time that we give away tickets, but it will be the last time we give them away to everybody. So become an insider because this will be an exclusive right to insiders moving forward. We're going to give away tickets to games and try to send you guys to have a good time in Jordan hair on us. So become an insider. I'll be watching after the broadcast is over. You guys will have a little bit to get in there before I start finalizing the list. We want to be able to give something back to you guys for supporting us. I know if it were me, I'd give away tickets to everybody. every insider will get a ticket to the game. Unfortunately, the way our bank account is set up, only 2 of you will get tickets to the game. So
my checking account and my savings account, I got to transfer my money over.
All right. So anyway, listen, I saw a couple of you went ahead and did this. We are partnered with the Lee County Humane Society. 50 cents on every dollar that you donate to our GoFundMe goes to help the Lee County Humane Society save puppies. Now, 45 cents on every dollar of your super chat goes to YouTube. So we decided to do this to try to give that money to a better cause. YouTube's super rich. Thank you for letting us be on your platform. But yeah, we'd rather save puppies than line YouTube's execs' pockets. So if you can head over to the About section of our YouTube channel and click on that donate link, you can help us. We have a goal for the month, $500 that we're trying to raise this month. In the month of August, we've got 15 days left to do it. And any amount is much appreciated. So we don't need a bunch of $100 donors, to the extent that you guys can all just go and give $5 or $3 or $2. It really doesn't matter how much. Every dollar puts us one step closer to that goal. We want to get there. We want to be able to say that our community and our channel and our business gives back every single month to a good cause. So join us in that, and we appreciate everybody who does that. Our merch store is live. You can find this link in the About section of our YouTube channel. If you missed out on winning that mug, you can go buy one. And then last but certainly not least, the podcast. Podcast.
I'm going to tell you the same thing I told you about 20 minutes ago. The podcast is there. All your favorite apps, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and even on SoundCloud. You can go find a podcast version of the Wednesday Night War Room. Right now, that is the only one we are able to get up because we have day jobs. It takes a lot of time to take that content, make sure it is the best quality for you, our listeners, and get it prepped and up on those platforms. But the more listeners we get, the more subscribers we get, the more insiders we get, the more views we get, we are ever closer to being able to fund this thing and have this pay to do it all the time. We want to be able to do it all the time and pay our bills and keep roofs over our families' heads. That's what we want to do. So we get closer, you're going to get more podcasts. Hey, if B Will comes off his day job, you're going to have this weekend tailgate up on Monday morning because you want it. Because you want to hear it on your commute into work on Monday. I know you do, because I would like that. So keep supporting. We appreciate everything that you guys do for us, whether it is the merch store or the lives and the super chats and the donations to the GoFundMe. All of it helps build this momentum, keep this momentum going. Hopefully we have a great season, but go check out the podcast, please.
Right. So appreciate that, B. That's it. That's all we got. Happy Sunday, fellas.
Yeah, man. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. Taking time out of your day to just kick it with us and talk Auburn football. Let other people know that we're out here by sharing this video. If you're on social media, please use hashtag Get Your Weight Up. Please be sure to like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe to us if you haven't already. If you haven't, what are you doing? All right. Now, find us at Instagram and Twitter at The War Report. You can find us on TikTok, if you're a TikToker, at TW Report. That's it for now, guys. Have a great, productive week. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Where you go?